Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. And as far as you can see from the today's thumbnail, we are hopping into Way of the Hunter Elkcrest Island, and we are doing nothing more than a tour of the island. And I have to tell you that I sped up twice this video, and it's because it would be like almost 40 minutes video, and I didn't want to waste that much time. And even like this it will be like 24 minutes. And yeah, so I did this way before. I was came up with the idea. I did on another game in Call of the Wild, was Warahanga Savannah, and I don't know why I hop into the jeep and I started to roam around the river and check if it would be nice to implement some nice crocodiles on that map, which unfortunately that game never received. And I know it's not fair to compare two games in another game's gameplay footage, but as far as I remember, I received some kind of achievement at least doing that activity. And I also stumbled upon a race in Way of the Hunter in the Tikamon Plains, and I liked that race and I'm doing it still to this day. And today's video basically it's a race without start and end, and it would be nice from the developers to see some time trial on the shoreline, doing it as I'm doing it right here. And I hope you won't get some nausea by watching this video, because it's very twisted, and because of the speed of the video. And folks, when I reached this bay, I had an idea, and probably many of you had an idea why we don't have animals spawning in this area of the map, and also on the upper corner of the map, which is very similar with the islands and the volcano. And folks, I think that sea otters would make a very good addition to this game, especially that he is laid down and probably will be retired forever and won't receive any map updates, which is very fine, recording that the new game is coming out, and probably it will be something set up to accompany us from very long years, because it will run on a different engine. And I say that before the devs would bury this game and leave it to rest, they should make a few updates, in my opinion, and that should be Sea Otter in this area of Elkcrest Island, and also on Aurora Shores could be added, because it's a similar map and environment. And it would be very fun to see that kind of DLC and update as they gave us with the Turkey and the Cougar on Nespers Valley, Aurora Shores, and here on Elkcrest Island. And well, folks, what I would see also, it's another tier of weapon DLC for small game animals, especially blowgun, folks. I would like to see in this game a blowgun, and I tell you why: because it's so fun to hunt these animals, the smaller animals, between the major game animals need zones. And I'm encountering sometimes rabbits and pheasants and whatnot, and while I am waiting my bisons or something to get into position, sometimes I stumble upon a turkey or something, and it would be so much fun to hunt them down with a very silent weapon like the blowgun it is, and without spooking the main animals that you are waiting for to be harvested later. And yeah, that would be a nice addition. And basically, as the thumbnail title it says, would be an idea to send a message to the devs and a feedback and a fan request to give us these DLCs in the Steam store, and whoever desire can buy it, whoever doesn't, it doesn't, and that's it. And folks, regarding coming back to our today's activity, as far as you can see, this is a very challenging tour of the island, and it's also very fun. And let's see if we can go all around without any obstacle, and we can close the circle, and if we can go all around it 100%. And as far as you can see, there's some nice areas on the shoreline, and I think they should add animals here, because it would be so much fun and different to hunt this area. Only go to the shoreline like this, doing a tour, and basically they could do mini challenges like tour of the island, and as many animals as you can get, you should harvest at the highest tier level. And yeah, that would be a fun challenge, especially in multiplayer. And it wouldn't be just a race, it would be something with a purpose. And basically you should have to go all around the island, do the tour of the island from beginning to start, and harvest as many animals, scoring as highest fitness level as possible that you are encountering, and at the end you should upload your achievements to some kind of server activity, or at least in your save game activity. And as far as you can see, we are trying to stick very close to the shoreline as possible, and circle the island and reveal all the island shore, and make an idea what's going on here. And if this would be a rally tournament, folks, between players, would be so much fun, especially if these dead wood and big logs would be activated as obstacles, and you could bump into them as you can do with trees in the inside of the island, basically. And you can see that's pretty substantial of them right here. And if two players or even more would race against each other on this map, I think it would be very challenging to avoid this dead wood and these obstacles. And unfortunately, at this stage, probably they didn't want to spend too much time, and especially that this map, it's a free gift at the last moment of the year, and it's not activated as an obstacle. And if it would be so much fun. And even as far as you can see here, I just get spinned by a rock or whatnot. And I have to be very careful, folks, during this tour of the island, that I do not go into deep water, because I will be resetted and probably spawned somewhere else on the island. So I have to be very careful, and this would make also the rally of the island, the shoreline rally, very, very challenging, because they could place the time trial points, checkpoints, very close to the shoreline, as I'm doing it right here. So you would have to be very, very careful to not end up in the ocean, and also you would have to be very, very careful to avoid this deadwood. And I would like to see if the devs would listen to us, and if it's not that much of a programming and time wasting, basically. And I think that this game would deserve a thing like this, and it would be so much fun to do it, especially, as I mentioned before, in multiplayer sessions. And sorry, I will have to yap folks for like 24 minutes, and that won't be easy, that's for sure, because this will be probably the most lengthy video of my YouTube channel, and probably the most controversial, and probably the most commented, because of the thumbnail that I uploaded. And probably many people would think that it's a clickbait. No, folks, it's not a clickbait. That even my channel, it's not something that I'm intention to monetize. Also, as I told you, I live off grid in bear country without any substantial income, basically, and using my last resources to finish my project, which is a children's exposition for anybody who want to access it with free access. And this is not an advertising, folks, it's not a management trick or something. I'm just doing the pleasant with the useful, and this is how I try to finish that project, basically. And that's why I decided to put to a halt the project's main channel, which is Lava Theme Park and Expo Dino. It's stopped for like a year by now, and it's not active. And I decided that when the project will be relaunched, yes, this project was functioning at one point in time, and I don't want to go into details because it's a very dark section of 15 years of my life, and it was lost, and I had to rebuild like 4 times, and now it's the 5th time that I'm starting it from scratch, and basically from my own resources and nothing else, because I decided to go like this, to develop this project because of my own choice and creative freedom, basically. And I don't want to have anybody control on this project, and I don't want to go into detail because it's very controversial, folks, and it always was twisted like I got twisted here by that rock, and it was always derived in another direction, as I was right here right now in the shoreline. And I designed this project, folks, to be accessed by anybody freely, and basically it was self-sustainable with the products that I was designing and producing, and that was the income of the project. And this is how I was able to bring it to supermarkets and kindergartens and schools and everywhere, and children who could access this project basically free and without any headache or any spending. And it was only a tribute for them if they decided to buy something from the items that I produced for this project and sustain the further development of the project. And it was made with fixed contracts and with management and with advertising for the supermarkets that were hosting this kind of experiment and exposition. And unfortunately, at one point in time, I had to put a brake like I did right here to not enter deep water and get sinked. And yeah, and I mean it, folks. At one point in time, I ended up in Greece. Then the project ended up in Angola in Africa, and unfortunately, it couldn't be recovered and whatnot. And I had to rebuild it. And I know it's like it sounds like. Whining and complaining, but it is not, folks. I'm not the kind of person who is doing this kind of things, and I'm always standing my ground and hopping on my feet and continuing wherever I can and whatever I can, and I do it from my own power and resources and know-how, and that's nothing or nothing else more, folks, than sculpting and illustration and designing. And as far as you can see, probably I'm not as good in marketing, but I don't like to do things that are twisted and meant to exploit and induce people into error, basically. And that's what I was considering that my project is used for, and I simply just gave up on it and abandoned it. And instead of going into trial in the instance and hire a lawyer and win back my copyrights, because everything that I did, folks, in this project was basically my own idea, my own creation, my own design, my own illustration, my own sculptures, my own molds and my own figurines, and everything was 100% done by me. Nobody ever lifted a hammer and a nail to beat in this project. I did it alone, and I could win probably those trials very easy, and I would probably get compensations. But as I told you, it is not in my nature to do this kind of things. And I, as a as the dog, as the owner, and as far as you can see on this YouTube channel, I have one of a kind dogs. And yeah, this is not a banging over my chest, this is basically who I am. And doing these games, folks, as I'm doing it and as I'm playing it, Call of the Wild and Way of the Hunter, offering me this chilling and relaxing opportunity and time spending basically as recreation after a long hard work activity in my workshop on my laptop. And as far as you can see, this game is yanked up to maximum, folks. And although I have not a hefty laptop, it is just an RTX 3080 and I think a Ryzen 5900 or something with 42 gigabytes of RAM. I had to yank it up because of the graphic design, and this is how I was able to run this game on maximum and enjoy as possible as I can. And even if it runs at 30 FPS, folks, that's enough for me, and probably it would be very painful for somebody else who is used to some higher rig. But this is what I can afford right here in the middle of the forest in Transylvania in bear country, because I'm lacking electricity, and I'm relying on an EcoFlow Delta 2 power station that is charged from solar. And in the winter days, or when it's cloudy, basically a Honda 2000i generator is powering all my rigs and everything and charging up the Delta Pro power station on which I'm having electricity. And this is how I play in these games, folks, and this is why you see way more mobile uploads from my part, because I use my tablet as a gaming device also and as illustration device because of the electricity scarcity. And also it's way more comfortable for me sometimes to hop on my beanbag and look out the window as the fall is coming and the winter is laying down the first snow on the background of the mountains. And yeah, this is it, folks, mostly what is this channel about. And if I will manage to put this project on its own feet again at the 5th time, then we will have another channel back alive and resuscitated, and that channel, folks, probably would be the income and a resource for my project to continue and finance it, because as I told you, I want to stick to the disclaimer that I have on my project, which is 100% built by me and 100% with 100% free access and nothing else. And yeah, so we are approaching the other side of the island, folks, right here. And coming back to games, folk, I'm in the I don't have that much knowledge in programming and 3D designing or sculpting basically, but if I would probably have a sneak peek and something to do in games, and I would like to build animals and build things in 3D and maybe contribute to the gaming industry, but I decided to do it differently, and that is life-size sculpting, folks. And yes, all the sculptures that you see on my video, it is basically done in life size, in real life size, and all those dinosaurs, and for the moment you can see only the smallest element of my project. It is a 4 meter Protoceratops figurine that I'm rebuilding completely from scratch, and I had that sculpture, folks, and I still have the mold from the old project 15 years ago, and I could rebuild it, I mean, in a matter of week, but I decided instead to rebuild it completely, sculpted, build and from scratch, and make another mold and make a step forward and a new iteration of the project in a way more advanced form, because now after all these years I have to tell you that with all the painstaking experiments and whatnot, I'm working way more efficiently and differently here in my workshop that I set up here off grid in Bear Country, where I ended up living instead of living homeless in the city. And yeah, this is a very long and controversial story, and I laugh about it, but probably it's a sad one. And one day I know that things will come together and everything will be arranged and nothing will be lost as far as I can raise my arms and I can finish my job. And yeah, the same applies to these games, folks. As far as you can see, I'm very stubborn and very reluctant, and when I start something, I don't joke and I don't hesitate also, and I think very meticulously what I'm starting to do, and what I start to do, I also finish it, and that's what I do not like, to start just like anything. And yeah, this is the same rule applies here going around this island, folks. And this is what was pushing me forward, that if we would get this DLC, probably would be very fun to play this game for many years, and it won't be dead, that's for sure, because it would give a fresh life and always a fresh option to do something. And these small updates that I'm hoping from the parts of the devs after the last map that we have here as gift, that we could get in the app store, basically in Steam, then could be downloaded as additional updates and DLCs, and those could be weapons, folks, and more items that they could add without any substantial waste of time and distraction from the new game. And as far as you can see, we are approaching the side of the map, where here are basically birds, water birds are spawning, but I can tell you that would be very interesting, as far as I yep till now, to have sea otters in this game and hunt them here on the side of the island and all around it, or at least at those two spots where I made those icons and I displayed it. And I hope it won't bother the devs that I did it, and other people won't be upset that it made click this video or something. It's not my intention. I just did it to make the feeling and the impression what would be like if you would have sea otters on the seaside here in Elkcrest Island. And yeah, this basically, it's just a touch of detail from my part. And I think my dogs are charging like crazy in the background, so folks, you have to listen to this growling and barking. And I don't know what's going on. I don't want to go outside, and probably it will be a subject of the next video, because something's going on or approaching. Usually bears and wolves do not dare to come close to our property, but bear are try to sneak in sometimes, and he has to encounter my Presa canarios and canicozos and small working terriers that I have, and they don't joke, folks, and they are in a pack. And yeah, I had to wrap up, and I had to fire up the caliber basically, and I had to bring in these big dogs on my property, because I had many issues, and at one point in time I sent an ethnicity that likes to destroy things. And I mean, the whole ethnicity is not a racist video, folks, but unfortunately here in Eastern Europe there's a group of people whose life is so doomed, and it's used basically as social weapon, and many of them are looting the area, unfortunately. And probably who is Eastern European knows who am I talking about. And They basically came into my yard and I wasn't home, and my dogs were in a kennel and they knew that they cannot come out, and basically they approached my property and destroyed the sculptures that I had. And folks, those sculptures was huge. I mean, one of them was a life-size Tyrannosaurus Rex, which was like 12-meter long, 6-meter tall, and all it's left of it, folks, it was only the two legs, 3-meter legs, and the head, which was like 2.5 meter, and that's what is left of the sculpture, folks. And it's sad that I lost everything because of stupid burglary, and that's when I decided that I will basically have like 15 dogs, and that's how they have to deal with me from now on. And here, as you can see, folks, in this map, I circled all the map, and I think the volcano area and this lower corner would be very fun and very nice to have as a spawning location for the sea otters if the devs would listen to us and would give us this kind of DLC. And also, folks, we did a small weapon DLC with small caliber rifles. Why not an air rifle, a blowgun, and some other lower caliber gun for tier 1 and 2 animals, basically. And folks, blowgun should go from tier 4, tier 1 to 4, because it's not called for nothing my blowgun, called here big bore blowgun. And yeah, as far as you can see, this is the only small caliber gun, unfortunately, in the game, and this is why I carry this loadout, because I can cover mostly many tier of animals with this loadout. And also we would have to receive a third weapon slot at least for small caliber game. And yeah, this is for today's video, folks, and we arrived at the end of the race that I created for myself. And if the devs would have checkpoints around this map, as I stated, it would be so much fun, especially as they did in the Ticamon Plains on that small time trial that they did. And yeah, this is it for today's video, folks. I hope I didn't waste too much time, and see you in the next videos, and have a happy new year, and goodbye for everybody.